Shri Gurubhyom Namaha. Today's session is about Diversity and Discrimination, Chapter 2 from Social and Political Life, Volume 1. In the previous chapter, we had discussed the meanings of diversity. Sometimes people who are different from others are teased, laughed at, or not included in a certain activity or group. We feel hurt, angry, helpless, or sad when friends or others treat us in such ways. Have you ever wondered why this happens? In this chapter, we will try to explore how such experiences are related to the society we live in. We will look at how they are connected to the inequalities that exist around us. Differences and prejudice. There are many things that make us what we are now, like how we live, the languages we speak, what we eat, we wear, the games we play, etc. So, all these things are influenced both by the geography and the history of the place where we live in. You will get an idea of how diverse India if you look even briefly at the following statement, like there are 8 major religions in the world. Every single one of them is practiced in India. We have more than 1600 languages that are people's mother tongues, and there are more than 100 of dance forms we practice. Yet, this diversity is not always celebrated. We feel safe and secure with people who look, talk, dress, and think like us. Sometimes, when we meet people who are very different from us, we may find them strange and unfamiliar. At times, we may not understand or know the reasons why they are different from us. People also form certain attitudes and opinions about others who are not like them. If you see this image, it is the differences between the rural people and the urban people. So here the rural people we have some kind of prejudices on them, like more than 50% of all Indians live in villages. Villages do not care about their health, they are full of superstitions. People in villages are backward and lazy. They do not like to work. In peak harvesting and plantation seasons, families spend 12 to 14 hours working in the fields. Villages are dirty and not hygienic. Like these, we have certain kind of prejudices about the rural people, and the rural people have different kind of opinion on the people who live in cities. Like life in the city is very easy, people here are spoilt and lazy. In cities, families spend very little time with each other. People in towns only care about money, not about people. Living in a city is expensive. A large part of people's earnings is spent on rent and transport. City people cannot be trusted, they are cunning and corrupt. Like these, the rural people are having these kind of prejudices on the people who are living in urban cities. Some of the statements above see villagers as dirty, ignorant, and superstitious, and see people in cities as money minded, lazy, and cunning. When our opinions about certain people are always negative, seeing them as lazy, cunning, stingy, as some of the statements above, then these becomes prejudices that we carry about them. What is prejudice? Prejudice means to judge other people negatively or see them as inferior to us, which is not a good thing. Prejudice is an unreasonable dislike for a particular group of people or preference for one group over another. So, there may be negative attitudes towards or opinions about a person or group simply because the person belongs to a specific religion, race, nationality, or another group. Prejudice invokes strong feelings that are difficult to change. Prejudice can be guided by the color of the skin or the accent in which a person speaks or the clothes they wear. Prejudiced people often hurt other people's feelings. When people started to prejudice others like this, there are already some kind of stereotypes were being formed in the society for gender. So, creating stereotypes. All of us are familiar with gender differences. What does it mean to be a boy or a girl? Many of you would say we are born as boys and girls. So, this is a statements which were already stereotypes which were created by our society. So, if you arrange these statements to girls or boys, these shows that how bad the stereotypes were being formed for the gender. So if we take the statement they don't cry, you will see that this is a quality that is generally associated with boys and men. As babies or children, when boys fall and hurt themselves, the parents and other family members often console them by saying, "Don't cry, you're a boy. Boys are brave, they don't cry." As children grow up, they start believing that boys do not cry, so that even if a boy feels like crying, he stops himself from doing so. He believes that crying is a sign of weakness. So, even though both boys and girls sometimes want to cry, especially if they are angry or in pain, as they grow older, boys learn or teach themselves not to cry. If a grown boy cries, then he feels that others will either tease him or laugh at him, and so he stops himself from doing so in front of others. Likewise, there are some kind of statements which given for the girls' stereotypes. If just look at this picture here, there are some children's animation images were given. The children you see in the illustrations here were seen as disabled. This term has been changed and now the term used is children with special needs, special care. So common stereotypes about them are given in large letters, like people say all sort of things. You look so different. Is her mind okay? Like that. Their own feelings and thoughts too are given there. Just because my legs are wobbly, people think my mind is wobbly too, like that the child is thinking. It doesn't mean that if the children are have who need the special care, they don't have any special qualities. Each one is unique. They have different kind of qualities. They have different kind of talents which we should make them to grow in. So when we fix people into one image, we create a stereotype. When people say that those who belong to a particular country, religion, sex, race, or economic background are stingy, lazy, criminal, or dumb, they are using stereotypes on them. There are stingy and generous people everywhere, in every country, in every religion, in every group, whether rich or poor, male or female. And just because some people are like that It is not fair to think that everyone will be the same in that group. Stereotypes stop us from looking at each person as a unique individual with his or her own special qualities and skills that are different from others. They fit large number of people into only one pattern or type. Stereotypes affect all of us as they prevent us from doing certain things that we might otherwise be good at. Now we will see about the inequality and discrimination that has been happening in the society. What is discrimination? Discrimination means unfair treatment of a person or a group on the basis of prejudice. It means treating other people badly, not allowing them to participate in certain activities, restricting their access to work, or living in certain neighborhoods, or denying them the things to which they are entitled to by right and law. For example, in some villages, some people are not allowed to draw water from the village well. People belonging to different regions and religions speaking a particular language may be discriminated against because they are considered inferior. Poor people are also discriminated against and treated badly because of their economic conditions. Discrimination happens when people act on their prejudices or stereotypes. If you do something to put other people down, if you stop them from taking part in certain activities and taking up jobs, or stop them from living in certain neighborhoods, prevent them from taking water from the same well or hand pump, or not allow them to drink tea in the same cups or glasses as others, you are discriminating against them. Discrimination can take place because of several reasons. Now we will recall from our chapter 1, the previous session. Summer Ek and Summer Do were different from each other in many ways. For example, they belonged to different religions. This is an aspect of diversity. However, this diversity can also be a source of discrimination. Groups of people who may speak a certain language, follow a particular religion, live in specific regions, etc., may be discriminated against. Their customs or practices may be seen as inferior. Another difference between the two Samis was in their economic backgrounds. Samir though was poor. This difference, as you have read earlier, is not a form of diversity but of inequality. People who are poor do not have the resources or the money to meet their basic daily needs of food, clothing, and shelter. They experience discrimination in offices, in hospitals, schools, etc., where they are treated badly because they are poor. Some people may experience both kinds of discrimination. They are poor and they belong to groups whose culture is not valued among the society. Tribals, some religious groups, and even particular regions are discriminated against for one or more of these reasons. In next session, we will study about a famous Indian who was against discrimination. So this will help us to understand the ways in which caste was used to discriminate against large numbers of people.